Hi, my name is Eddie Archer with 4Kids of South Florida, and I want to thank you for taking the time to go through this video and the others. We're talking about the 4Kids Epic approach and how it's a parenting model to parent kids from hard places and allow them to go on a journey to become their whole and genuine selves. This is more than a model for us, though. It's good parenting. So at this point, I'd like to talk about the letter I of the EPIC approach, which stands for intellectual. And here we're asking the question, how am I responding? So why is this important? Because our kids have got to think and learn for themselves. We're not always going to be there to make every decision for them. So we want our kids to use their own intellectual capacity to get their needs met in a healthy way. We're going to do this by paying attention to how we set boundaries and how we discipline. So the question again is, how am I responding? So let's take a look at our 0 to 100 drawing and let's see how we train our children to think for themselves at every behavioral stage. So once again, let's draw a line. Our 0 or 100, 20, and 80. All right, let's start right here. Now remember, this is our strong cell phone connection. So connecting is easy and it's natural. And we want to, again, build capacity for our kids to think for themselves, to self-correct. A couple things that we might see at this range, at the 0 to 20 range, is maybe some talking back, taking things without asking, or maybe you discover an infraction they did a week ago today. Here's how you want to focus and allow your child to practice. Learn to do quick one-liners. Things like, hey, you asking or telling? Or you want to try that again? Things like that give our child an opportunity to self-correct. And the more often they self-correct, the less they need you to correct them. Another technique we like to use is called redos. Redos, it gives our child a concrete way to understand abstract concepts. So instead of saying things like, I want you to be a good boy today, set up a scenario, create a scenario where you can, through play, act out what that means, where he's asking nicely, or ask permission, or sharing his items. Before we get to the next ranges, I think as caregivers, we need to learn how to choose battles. Home life can be potentially very suffocating if every little offense is a battle. All right, here's an easy way to decide which battles you'll fight. Have a family meeting and bring everybody together and decide on 2 to 3 rules that you will focus on. The first rule for me is always everybody gets to stay safe, right? So with these 3 rules, you'll know which offenses that you want to confront and which ones you may choose to ignore or choose to deal with. Okay, so then with that said, let's move on to the 20 to 80 range. All right, this is a child that is losing connection. This is our spotty cell phone connection where we have to be patient, we have to be creative. What we will see here is a child that is defiant. They become verbally aggressive. You might see some intimidation or loss of reasoning. One of the first things you want to do is give them choices, right? So for me, I do choices in 2 different ways. I offer a relational option and I offer a time to think. So here's an example. Hey, buddy, it's time to go and clean the dishes. You can clean the dishes now, or you can wash the dishes and I'll dry. So that's adding a relational aspect to it. Another thing that I might do is, all right, it's time to clean the dishes. You can clean them now, or you can have 3 minutes to sit down and get yourself ready to clean them. And those are ways that we can integrate choices, give them power, and get things moving. Another key thing that I use when I'm working with my child is compromises. Compromises is a great way to help a child learn to think for themselves. So this is how you set it up. If you give a directive and they're resisting, you might say, all right, you want to compromise? And at that point, I'll give them alternative options, or I'll allow them to give me alternative options. So choices and compromises are crucial, and they're key to giving your child an opportunity to learn to think for themselves. There are a couple other reasons why we want choices and compromises. One of the things that we want to teach our children is that life doesn't just happen to them. Through choice and through effort, they can have an impact on their own consequences and rewards. Another key thing that choices and compromises teaches them It allows them to move quickly, either to making a good choice or quickly to escalating from 80 to 100. And the sooner they get out of this confrontation space, the better. So at 80 to 100, you'll realize that it's not about berating or blaming our children for their emotions. We're actually going to help teach them how to handle their emotions and help them progress right back to their ideal selves. With that said, let's move over to the 80 to 100 range. Right here. And remember, this is the cell phone that's in the middle of a desert and there's absolutely no connection. Your first objective at this point is to create a safe space for them to have their emotions. Then we need to attend to the needs of the body and the brain. So make sure you have water, make sure you have snacks, give them access to express themselves through their sensory input, right? Allow them to go outside and run, or if they need a place to sit down and just be quiet, provide that too. The main thing that we want to communicate at this stage for a child is that there is nothing wrong with their emotions, but their emotions belong to them. And they also need to learn all these different tools to help themselves out of the pit that they're in, right? And when you do that consistently, it allows them to really begin to see that I can impact my world. I can have an impact on my environment, and life doesn't just happen to me. Again, I am so grateful that you all can take the time and walk through the letter I of the EPIC approach. I really hope you feel resourced and you have practical ideas to help your child through the way you discipline and the way that you give them boundaries. If you find that you need more resources or help, feel free to contact us here at 4Kids. Thank you.